Welcome, everyone. So this is the first in a new program that we're releasing called Release Review. This will be held every quarter moving forward. The idea of this is we want to be able to give everyone a snapshot of anything that we've released, things that we've got coming up, and just give a nice overview and a nice update as to some recent releases that we've just launched. So we'll just go through a bit of housekeeping first. So just a note about closed captions. You can enable these in the Zoom interface just with that CC button. You can also do live transcript, and there will be a recording of this that will be distributed in a few days that will have full subtitles on there as well. Quick intros. So we've got Odette, who's a customer success manager in the EMEA region. Odette's been with Lumar now for about just over 2.5 years. It's a good thing we've got closed captions. She is from New Zealand, so I know the accent doesn't agree with everyone. So in case any words go a bit amiss, be sure to click on those closed captions. And then myself, I'm the head of customer success at Lumar. I've been here for about 4.5 years. I've seen the way that this company has changed a lot in terms of our product offering, all the different updates that we've done, and it makes it even more exciting for some of the items that we're going through today and sharing with everyone. So the agenda for today. So we've just done some introductions. There's a bit more housekeeping to do, and then we can get into the fun stuff. We'll be going over a few of the improvements over the last few months. We'll be going into a bit of review of the roadmap that we've got, so we can see what's coming up in the next few months as well coming up. And then we'll finish off with just a bit of a Q&A. So any questions, please type these into the Q&A box. You'll see this at the bottom. We do ask if you've got any feedback to leave us. This is really short. It'll only take about a minute to complete. And then just another reminder, this will be on demand as well. We'll be sharing this in a few days' time. It'll be on YouTube, and we can also distribute this directly. In case you want to sort of come back to this, maybe flick back. I know they'll be going through some really cool stuff. So if you do want to flick back to what she was going through, or what she goes through, it'll be really good to have a look at this on demand as well. So a quick poll question, and this might pop up. Did you know that you can get product updates in the app as they are released? You can give everyone about 10 seconds just to take that. And well, we're going to answer this question for you in a second. If you didn't know the answer to this, you will know the answer in a second.
Let me know.
Let's go for it.
Great.
So this is just a reminder to everyone, in-app product updates. You may have noticed this. There is in the bottom left, there is a little icon. Odette will show this as well when she jumps over into the platform. But you might see this big red sort of icon pop up. It will show that there is almost like a notification, if you will. This is where we hold any of our updates that we've launched in the tool itself. So be sure to look out for that little beacon. Any announcements that we put there, whether it's a fix, it could be an improvement to the tool, it could be any report updates, release notes, they'll all be there. If you do have an ad blocker, just note that this could potentially block that as well. So you may need to add the app URL for it to show. And then coming soon is a new knowledge base and a monthly email. So the knowledge base is where we hold all of the resources. So including what we just mentioned about those announcements and those release notes, these are also held within the Lumar knowledge base. We're refreshing this with new Pell articles, make them more up to date, any how-to guides. The idea of these is to enable you to use the platform more, understand its capabilities better, and effectively unlocking more value for yourselves. The release notes section will keep up to date with all the latest improvements. So some of the items that we're going through today will have been also noted in the release notes. So you can effectively attend these, understand these things that maybe you'll read in the release notes a little bit more in depth. And then we'll be launching the new monthly email as well with some of the latest product updates, just to keep everything fresh and top of mind.
There we go.
Fantastic. And then Odette's going to take the next part for you all.
Great. Yeah, so I'm going to be taking you through what's new in the product. So just our most recent new products and also feature releases. So start with, in my opinion, the most exciting part. So we have recently released site speed metrics. They're just a new and improved way to identify opportunities to increase your site speed. They utilize Lighthouse metrics, but we can run that at scale, and it's put in the report format that you know and love already in the existing Lumar tool. So basically what it is and what it does is it allows you to get fast insights on your pages and at scale. So rather than having to individually run Lighthouse tests on your pages, we can do that across hundreds, thousands of pages at a time. Also allows you to get more actionable data. So we've got higher level overviews, and you can also drill down into more kind of granular detail and get the specifics, as well as some explanations on how to actually resolve these issues. It'll help you prioritize more effectively as well. So basically we aggregate the issues so that you can see at a high level across all of your pages what issues are affecting your site the most. And finally, it allows you to collaborate more effectively. So all of our reports are shareable. It also gets you kind of some clear actionable insights, and you can write clearer acceptance criteria for your dev tickets. So that's kind of site speed in a nutshell. I am going to walk you through the site speed tool in just a few minutes. Once I've gone through the rest of the releases, I'll be able to show you site speed in action. Next up, in terms of changes, we've made a few improvements to our reporting and released the change metrics reports. So this is a series of 5 new reports that allow you to see key metrics which have changed from the last crawl to the most recent crawl. Allows you to identify them across multiple pages at a time. So the first one being the change status code. So for example, if some of your pages have gone from being a 200 to a 400, you'll get a very concise list of exactly which URLs that affects. We've also got a similar reporting in terms of change level. So if the structure of your site has changed or some of your internal linking has changed, affecting what levels at which we find pages, we can now report on that too. In terms of content, we've got the change title, description, and H1 tags reports. It's not just my accent, you may need the captions for. So this again allows you to see at a very top level which URLs are being impacted by these changes. I will show you this in the product a little bit later on, but basically it shows you what the previous value was and the value in the newest crawl. So if a title is changed, what the old title was and what the new one is. We've also got some new charts in our SEO overview, and we've got some new dashboards in the overall rankability dashboard there. Had a few changes to monitor as well in terms of what is available there. So we can now alert on when these key metrics change. So you'll be able to see if there's a whole bunch of pages with changed titles, you'll be able to receive an alert from monitor, which will tell you, hey, an additional kind of 100 pages have had changed titles since the last crawl. So really flagging issues proactively. You can also view this across kind of all your domains, your geographies, all in one place. Perfect. So we've also had some changes to the way in which we display the lists of reports within the product. So this one was based on a lot of customer feedback that we received in the way that people wanted to kind of interact with the list of not only all reports, but error reports in the tool. So we can now sort by each of the columns. So we're able to sort based upon the name of the report. So if you just want kind of an alphabetical list, you're able to do that. But we can also sort on other values such as the total URLs in each report. So you can see if more URLs are being affected by an error, you can prioritize based on that. So just one thing to remember with this is all changes are stored locally. So if you make a change to the way in which you want to sort all of these reports, don't worry, it's not going to impact anybody else in your team who may be using the tool. That'll be saved kind of at a browser level. So any changes you make will be just seen by you. Another change we've made, which makes the reporting a lot easier to navigate, is sticky table headers. So you can see here, when you do scroll down a page, the table header will stick to the top of the page. This makes it easy when you're looking at some of the values in the columns and some of the metrics to identify exactly what it is that you're looking at, no matter how far down the page you have scrolled. And we've also got some changes to the subscription page. This will be particularly useful when it comes to monitoring your credit allocation and how many credits you have used this month. So we've got a screenshot here that shows you your credit allocation and also how many credits you've used and how far towards reaching that allocation you are for the month. We break this up into your SEO crawling credits, your accessibility credits, and your site speed credits, depending on what it is that's a part of your package. You can also request changes by clicking Edit Subscription and update your details here. When you do click that button, one of our team will be in touch with you to discuss kind of package options and how we can make that change for you. We've also had some updates to Monitor. So if you're not familiar with the Monitor tool, I'll just give you a brief explanation of what it is that it offers. So it is our dashboarding and alerting tool. So it allows you to, at a very high level, kind of have a bird's eye view of all of your domains in one place for the metrics that you really care about. In terms of the alerting, it also allows you to receive alerts based upon metrics that you really care about or things that you want to track. So this is very useful when you have kind of critical metrics that you want to keep tabs on, but you don't want to have to come into the tool to check after every single crawl. You'll just be alerted to any changes depending on what alerts you have set up. In terms of the updates that we've made to Monitor, we've just made it a lot easier for you to configure your alert rules across multiple projects. So let's say you're wanting to alert for 404s, any increase in 404s, as well as 500s and a bunch of other metrics. Maybe you want to receive that across all of your projects. What we've done is we have added the ability for you to quickly copy these across all of those projects without having to go in and manually add your alert rules to each project. We've also introduced some new templates. So these are to do with your category kind of health scores. So these will relate to not only the SEO scores, so your availability, indexability, discoverability, and the like, but we've also added templates for site speed and accessibility health scores. So this is particularly useful if you have, let's say, a lot of segments or a lot of domains to monitor, and you want to see these scores and how they're trending at a very high level. So you will be able to just see that at a glance without having to go into each individual project to get those scores. Perfect. So as promised, I'll take you through site speed so that you can get a little taster of what it has to offer. So on screen, we've got the site speed dashboard. You'll be pretty familiar with the layout and the look and feel of how we do things in terms of reporting here at Lumar. But basically, we have the similar structure of the overall site speed score. So that's 0 to 100 of addressable issues. gives you a good overview of how you're tracking over time as well. We've got the health score errors. These feed into the overall health score, and I'll jump into one of them in just a second. But further down the page, we have overall health scores for each of the metrics. And then we have the metrics themselves, so the actual Lighthouse metrics, and these are an average across all of the URLs that we've found in this crawl. You can also use segmentation as a part of site speed. So if you were wanting to see only issues, scores, and the metrics relating to a particular segment, you could do so from the segments dropdown. So if we wanted to take a look at the blog only, we're able to filter by that, and it will filter the dashboard so we can see the metrics in relation to the blog. Jump back to all URLs, and then we'll take a look at how you can drill down into further detail. So we've got our list of health score errors. These are ranked by the significance of the problem, as well as the number of URLs affected or number of issues as well. If we take a look at one of these to grab some further detail, we can just click in. Again, we've got a similar structure across the product. We've got the trend line over time, as well as the list of opportunities. Just wanted to briefly show you up the top, we do have the show help button present on these reports as well. This gives you quite a lot of detail about the report, issues it can cause, how you might fix it, and the positive impact. This is particularly useful when it comes to writing those tickets to get your issues fixed. But if we go further down the page, we can see the list of opportunities. So an opportunity is basically a way of grouping this problem. So it relates to this specific element, which we can see here, as well as the URLs that it affects. We do have an example URL, so you can see kind of at a high level which where we found this problem. And then we've got the standard table view. You can adjust any of the columns, but here we've got the average time wasted, the URL count, so this is the number of URLs affected. And then if I just go over a little bit, we've got the total savings. So this is the total time saved if we were to resolve this issue across all of the URLs. Click into the opportunity to get us some more detail on the problem itself. So again, we identify exactly what element is causing this issue, the total URL count. And if you have Google Analytics integrated, you'll get the total page views across all of the URLs affected. This is particularly useful when it comes to prioritizing, so you can fix the problems with the biggest impact. Also got the total wasted kilobytes. So for this particular report, it's nothing, but for other reports, it may be more relevant. And then we've got the total wasted time as well. So exactly how much time is wasted by having this problem present across the site. If we're looking for a list of URLs in which this impacts, we can jump over to the failed instances. This will give us exactly what URLs are affected by this problem. Like all of the reports in our product, we can filter. So we do have all of the filters available. We're able to narrow this list down. A particularly useful one that you'll be able to filter by if you have Google Analytics set up, which sadly we don't on this demo account, is page views. So you'll be able to prioritize based upon any of the metrics that we have available. Again, we can go into further depth. So if there is a specific page that you want to look at in more detail, you can go through and click on that page. That will take you into the page details summary. So that will give you all of the information that we've gathered as a part of the site speed crawl and as a part of requesting this page. So the Lighthouse metrics across the top, as well as Lighthouse Viewer. And when you connect Google Analytics, we'll also bring through the engagement data for that page. Got the stats that we generate as we're crawling. And then down the side, we do have some further specific details on this page. So one of them is a screenshot. So this just shows you the page, basically what the crawler was seeing as we were crawling, and then all metrics relating to this page. Perfect. So I'll pause there for just a second to remind you that if you do have any questions, please pop them in that Q&A box. Once we get to the questions at the end, we can address those. So if there's anything that you'd like me to cover off again, or any questions specific to not only the site speed reporting so far, but any of the updates that I have covered off, then feel free to just pop that in the question box. Excellent. So I'll leave it there for the site speed reporting, and I'll move on to just covering off a couple of the other changes that we've made. So we'll have a look at the change reporting. So I'll jump into an SEO crawl. So this is where you're going to be able to access the change reports. What you can do is search for them over the side. So if you go to the search box and type in change, that will bring up all the available change reports. Just something to remember is if they're grayed out, it just means that we don't have any data for this crawl, so nothing has changed. There's been no pages with change descriptions, but for any of the others, you can just click in to take a look. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, we show you what the title has changed from and what it's now changed to. You can see that in the summary. So we can see page title changed from and what the new title is here. Across all of these reports, there's also by default the change metrics column shown. So this will just show you what other change reports this particular URL is a part of. Great. I'll also show you the changes that we've made to the all reports view. So as I mentioned a little bit earlier, you're able to sort these reports by not only their name, the total amount. You can also add in new columns. So if there's particular columns that you want to see or ones that you'd like to remove from this view, you're able to do so. So if you don't particularly care about the weighted total, the weighted change, you can remove those and you'll just see the columns you have selected. And again, this is saved locally. So if you make any changes to this, don't worry, it's not going to impact anybody else who uses your account. And as Z mentioned, I would cover off over the side here, there is the release notes, or basically the notifications. So that shows the improvements, fixes, release notes, and report updates. You can click into each of these to get more detail. And there's always the learn more button. So if you're particularly interested in something, feel free to click through. Cool. I think that is all I have for, apologies. So that's all I've got for the updates that we've released. As I said, feel free to pop some questions in the Q&A box and we can address those shortly.
Awesome. Thanks very much for that. Thank you. So let's just go through the safe harbor statement first before we get into the product roadmap. Just take a couple seconds just to read through this. Effectively, we're going to go through the roadmap now of what could be coming up over the next sort of like 3 to 6 months and potentially beyond. It's just a note to know that this could change over time. So depending on potentially some customer feedback that we get or what we identify as potentially new priorities, some of the timings of these could change. So that's just a note to to have in mind. So great. So starting off with the first part. So we've segmented these into the analyzing data part and the actioning data part, just to help simplify a little bit. And those two terms will make sense as we start going through some of the key updates. So the first one, custom reports. This is the ability to change metrics and filter reports and save as a new report to enable trend analysis, eventually. So this will build upon the custom metrics item that we've been working on, and it will enable us to then take those metrics that we've, let's say, potentially been building or that clients build, and then be able to create custom reports with them. The idea here is we want to get more granular in analysis. So it's focusing on specific areas to spot spikes and track trends. The next one is the stored rendered HTML and screenshots. So I know Odette sort of showed a screenshot there of the page in relation to the site speed item. However, we'll be looking at the ability to store screenshots and rendered HTML for the SEO crawls. This will be for up to 90 days. There is a note here that there is a cost implication to this. Storing data does incur costs. So we will be exploring, or we will be mentioning this, that there will be a credit cost for this. So when you've got SEO credits, by storing one of these screenshots, it will use additional credits per URL. The idea of this as to why we want to look at implementing this is it gives increased accuracy for page measurements. It's also useful to help debug anomalies in data, especially on key and important pages. So you can imagine when you've got like a high traffic landing page, or potentially very high performing product page, with potentially a high conversion, or it's got a high visit rate, you want to be able to track or identify specific elements on that page. And to be honest, on the inverse as well, you could be looking at opportunities. So potentially lower performing pages, what are the potential anomalies there, and being able to record those with the screenshots. The next one is building upon what Odette's just gone through with site speed. So the ability to run site speed calls using a desktop user agent for Lighthouse. At the moment, it's with mobile user agent. What we want to be able to do here is get insights into website speed performance for both desktop and mobile. So you can do parity crawls, you can do a comparison. You might want to target specifically the kind of users that are on desktop. Potentially, you might have a website with varying metrics for mobile versus desktop, and be able to then target each one specifically, rather than having to just do one blanket strategy. The next one is custom metrics upload. So this would be the ability to import additional data. So for example, through a CSV, to add additional metrics into Lumar. So this could, for example, be anything from uploading a CSV with something like potentially basic keyword data, all the way through to, I mean, custom metrics, the sky's pretty much the limit in some ways. It could be very specific things to your strategy or how you work. So you might have a specific data point that you track yourselves that's unique to just your internal processes. And you want to be able to add that into the Lumar data and overlay it in a way, or be able to have that as a column that you could then filter by. Here, we want you to be able to get deeper in analysis by combining the data. So there's a lot of value in having everything in one place, because then you're able to then analyze the data a lot more efficiently. You can then combine it. So you might want to look specifically at a certain subfolder of URL with that specific metric in mind, and be able to track that. And having that in one place, in one platform, does make that process a lot more streamlined. The next one that we have there is the pull conversion data from Google Analytics. So this would be a connection from GA into the Lumar platform directly to pull conversion data. This would go hand in hand with site speed. It'll be very valuable to then be able to then see the specifics between the conversion rate on a page in relation to its performance. So pages with a slower, let's say slower core web vital score, maybe LCP is in the red, same as FCP and CLS. By pulling those down into the green and making them faster, being able to see that correlation or that knock-on effect onto conversion rate, to then see that increase. So if you're able to save, let's say, a second in load time, what impact could that then have on conversion rate or potentially visits and traffic as well. What we want to do here is be able to improve your prioritization. So by using the conversion data, you can then really hone in on those most valuable pages that I've just mentioned, and then where you can then maximize the impact of your work. So this could be internally, it might be with reporting, it could be with getting buy-in or building cases internally to make sure that you can get the fixes that you need. We'll then also be following this up with the manual upload of conversion data. So if you've got a different analytics platform, we still want you to be able to bring that data through. Again, it's the same reason, being able to prioritize your conversion data, using conversion data across your most important pages. The final one on the analyzing data is crux data, and this is quite a big one. So within site speed, at the moment, it's the Lighthouse lab data. This would be an inclusion of the crux data, the crux reporting in site speed and SEO crawls. While it's incredibly valuable to have at scale Lighthouse, it's also just as valuable to then pull in that crux data to have that hand in hand to then review, okay, well, what's the data that Google has, for example, across those pages. So having effectively field data to then balance the lab data to make the most informed or the best informed decisions moving forward. This would then also cover the new IMP metric, which replaced FID, the first input delay. So now interaction to next paint, that's how we'll be able to include that as well. So that additional core web vital. So then the next part with actioning data. So the first part is the AI generated delivery ticket content. This would allow you to generate the contents of a delivery ticket based on a task that's been created in Lumar, and then you use AI to create the first draft that can be then edited. So it's leveraging AI to effectively streamline the process, so you're spending more time identifying the issues and less time having to just continuously write tickets. If you need to add specific color to a specific situation, let AI do that for you, rather than you having to then add more content or color to those tickets. What we want here as well is for the collaboration between other teams and dev teams effectively. So cross collaboration teams across businesses to then create those high quality tickets. We want to make them clear and relevant, and the inclusion of something like an acceptance criteria does help streamline that process quite substantially. We also want to help by speeding up time to fix things. So as much as it's being able to save time the writing of a ticket, just being able to get those tickets through as fast as possible, you want to be able to speed up the time that those fixes go through. If, for example, there's an issue you've identified and it could have a detrimental impact, I don't want to be dramatic and say every second, but all the time that's wasted between identifying the issue and it being fixed is potentially more of a negative impact that can have. And if you've got to write that ticket to get that done, the quicker that you can do that with the best acceptance criteria is going to be the quickest way from point A to point B. And this does tie into then the new task manager. So a revamp of the task manager and analyze. This will be released in stages with the first improvements including a new task backlog. This is a workflow management improvement. The idea of the management improvement of the task manager is, again, improve collaboration between teams and between internal teams as well. So internally within, let's say, an SEO team, but then also streamline processes and just speed up the time to fix process even further. If you have a backlog of all the different tasks that you've created, you can then track these issues over time, try to understand then maybe some trends. Are there delays in certain fixes coming through? Which ones have we still got in the backlog? And then potentially which ones they need to be prioritized. So I think we'll be touching upon that now as well with the AI generated delivery ticket content. So as I mentioned, any updates to the task manager will be spread over time. So rather than just waiting and launching this in one go, this will be a regularly updated feature. It is still in development, so things might change. However, within the generate the new option will be to generate a delivery ticket this will then use AI to effectively fill the content of that ticket. So it will look at the task details and the Lumar's in-app guidance to help craft that. It will include the user story, effectively how to replicate any examples, and the acceptance criteria, which is that key part which can usually swing things in the right direction for getting these fixes through. And again, just to reiterate, one of the core things here, it does save a huge amount of time. But the idea here is, rather than just focusing on that time saving, it's what that time saving then translates into. It's that value piece at the end of getting that fix through as fast as possible, and then minimizing any potential negative impact that you have. So we'll finish off with another poll question. And this is just, would you like a one-to-one session to dive into any of these features that we've gone through today, or what we have coming soon or would you like to know more about it in more detail? We'll give everyone a few seconds to answer this one. Fantastic. So let's go into the final section, which is just questions. So we do have a few questions that have come through. I'll just go through these ones now. So one of the items that we've just addressed, the first question is what that's related to, which is, do your site speed metrics include Crux data? As we just mentioned in the roadmap, the initial launch is to include Lighthouse data. We have the inclusion of Crux data on our roadmap that we'll be working on, but for the moment it will be Lighthouse data at scale, effectively. The next one is, do the changed metric reports cost extra? No, these are included as standard in Analyze. So if you log in and as you follow Odette's instructions, where you just search for change in the search reports, you'll be able to access the change reports, and then it will be there. Thank you, Odette. And the final question is, when will the new task manager be released? So we're breaking the improvements to task manager down into chunks at the moment, so we can work on it in stages. While we expect the work to be completed by the end of the year, we can't anticipate if there would be any potential delays, but we anticipate the number of releases given to be incremental improvements. So we're hoping, ideally, to stick to our plan of being able to release things in bits as we go along. Fantastic. I think if we keep going through, I haven't seen any more questions come through. If you do have any more questions, feel free to send them to us, or reach out to your CSM if you have a main point of contact at Lumar. Otherwise, we do have forms on our website as well, in case you do want to reach out to anyone and speak to somebody. So I think we have a couple final bits to run through. So some recent content that might be of interest. So there is an on-demand webinar available for site speed audits in action, where Matt Ford, our head of product, and Andrew Levy, our head of product marketing, go through site speed, which what Odette went through today, in a lot more detail. They get a lot more granular with site speed. As I mentioned at the start, this is a program, so release review will be every quarter. So the next one will be on October 10th. So we hope to see you all there. And finally, the Help Center, you can find that on help.lumar.io. That will be where the knowledge base is, and that will have all the different help articles and blog posts. So thank you very much, everyone, for attending. I hope everyone enjoyed it. And yeah, we hope to see you in the next one. And be sure to catch this on demand if you want to revisit anything that we've gone through today. Thanks very much. Enjoy the rest of your evening or day if you're in the US.
Bye.
Bye.